The sound that woke me that Saturday morning wasn't my alarm. It was the relentless pounding on my apartment door, accompanied by the shrill stabbing of my doorbell that seemed to go on forever. My heart hammered against my ribs as I jolted awake, disoriented and terrified. Then I heard his voice, my brother's voice, high-pitched and demanding through the door. "You changed the code. Open this door right now. This is my apartment." And then, her voice, cold as ice, sharp as a blade. "My mother. Ava Sterling, open this door immediately. Stop embarrassing this family. Liam needs this apartment to build his future." My hands were shaking as I grabbed my phone and hit record. I knew this moment would come. I had felt it building ever since that birthday dinner for my father 2 weeks ago, when my mother had casually mentioned that Liam's startup needed capital, and wouldn't it be nice if we could all help family? The way she had looked at me, then calculating and cold, had sent chills down my spine. I opened the door just a crack, keeping the chain lock engaged, my phone recording everything. Liam tried to shove past me, his face red with entitlement and rage. My mother stood behind him, holding a thick yellow folder like a weapon, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against it impatiently. "This is my home," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Every mortgage payment for 8 years has come from my account. You have no right to be here." I slammed the door shut and engaged the deadbolt. The pounding intensified. The screaming got louder. I slid down to the floor, my back against the door, my heart racing so fast I thought it might explode. But underneath the fear, something else was growing. Anger. A deep, burning anger that whispered one word over and over: enough. That's when I saw it. The email notification on my phone. A confirmation for a home equity line of credit appraisal scheduled for Monday. A HELOC I had never applied for. My blood turned to ice as I opened my credit monitoring app and saw it a hard inquiry from 3 days ago. Someone had used my social security number, my date of birth, my information to apply for a loan against my apartment. If you're as shocked as I was in that moment, please hit that like button and subscribe, because this story gets so much darker before it gets better. Drop a comment if you've ever dealt with family who thought they were entitled to what you worked for. Now let me take you back to where this all really began. My story doesn't start with that Saturday morning. It starts 28 years earlier, when I was born the wrong gender. My mother never said it out loud, but I knew. I had seen the photos in the album she kept hidden in the back of her closet. Photos of the nursery they had prepared before I was born, painted blue, filled with sports equipment and toy trucks. My father had wanted a son to carry on the Sterling name, to take over his commercial real estate business someday. Instead, they got me. 3 years later, they got Liam, and everything changed. Suddenly, there were birthday parties with magicians and pony rides, piano lessons that my mother actually attended, soccer games where my father cheered from the sidelines. I watched from the edges the ghost child, the mistake they had corrected. I learned early how to earn scraps of attention. Straight A's got me a nod. Winning the school art competition got me a "that's nice, honey," while my mother scrolled through her phone. When Liam brought home a C-, they celebrated that he had tried his best and took him out for ice cream. I once brought home a report card with all A's except for one A- in PE, and my mother asked why I couldn't be more athletic. By the time I was 10, I understood the equation. Liam was the investment. I was the dividend they had never wanted but felt obligated to maintain. I threw myself into art and design. If I couldn't be the child they wanted, I could at least be useful. I redesigned my mother's garden layout when I was 12. She loved it so much she had it featured in the neighborhood newsletter, though she told everyone it was her own design. I redid my father's office when I was 14, making it look professional enough that he started getting compliments from clients. He never told them his daughter had done it. When I was 16, Liam crashed my father's BMW while joyriding with his friends. The car was totaled. My college savings, the small account my grandmother had set up for me before she died, disappeared overnight to cover the insurance deductible and keep it off my father's record. Nobody asked if I minded. My mother just informed me at dinner that the money had been reallocated for a family emergency. "You're so understanding," she had said, patting my hand. "This is what family does. We help each other." I worked 3 jobs through high school. I babysat on weekends, worked at a coffee shop after school, and did freelance graphic design for local businesses. By the time I graduated, I had saved $8,000. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I got into a good state university 2 hours away with a partial scholarship. My parents didn't come to my graduation. Liam had a baseball game that same day. When I called to tell them I had gotten the scholarship, my mother said, "That's wonderful, honey. Can you call back later? We're busy right now." College was the first time I tasted freedom. I lived in a cramped dorm with a roommate who snored, ate ramen 5 nights a week, and was happier than I had ever been. I majored in interior design and minored in business. I worked every summer, saved every penny I could. By my senior year, I had $20,000 saved. $20,000 that was going to take me to New York City for a prestigious graduate program at Parsons. I had already been accepted. I had already paid my deposit. I had already found a tiny studio apartment in Brooklyn that I would share with 2 other design students. I had mapped out my entire future, and for the first time in my life, that future was mine alone. Then my mother called 2 months before graduation. "Ava, honey, we need to talk about something important." Her voice had that tone, the one that meant she wanted something. "Your father's business is in trouble. Really serious trouble. We might lose the house." My stomach dropped. "What happened? The economy, the market, you know how it is." "He made some investments that didn't pan out. We're going to have to declare bankruptcy unless we can come up with $60,000 in the next 3 months. $60,000. I felt sick. "And Liam's tuition is due. He's graduating next year, Ava. We can't let him drop out now, not when he's so close. He's going to run the business someday. We need him to finish." "What about my graduate school?" I asked quietly. "Oh, honey, you can always go later. You're so talented. You'll find opportunities wherever you are. But right now, we need you. Family comes first, remember." I should have said no. I should have hung up the phone and gone to New York anyway. But I was 21 years old and still desperately trying to be the daughter they could love. Still believing that if I just sacrificed enough, gave enough, proved my worth enough, they would finally see me. I withdrew from Parsons. I sent my family $20,000. All of it. Every penny I had bled for. My mother cried on the phone and told me I was an angel, a blessing, the best daughter anyone could ask for. My father sent me a text that said, "Thanks, kid. We won't forget this." Liam didn't say anything at all. I moved to Austin, Texas after graduation because it was affordable and had a growing design scene. I rented a studio apartment in a neighborhood that real estate agents politely called transitional. The apartment had brown carpet that smelled like cigarettes, a kitchen the size of a closet, and a bathroom where the shower only had 2 temperatures, freezing or scalding. But it was mine. Kind of. I shared it with cockroaches and the constant fear of not making rent. I got a job at a mid-tier design firm making $32,000 a year. After taxes, rent, utilities, student loans, and food, I had about $200 a month left over. I saved $50 of it religiously and used the rest to slowly build up my freelance client base. 6 months after I moved to Austin, Liam called me for the first time since I had given them the money. "Hey, sis, how's Texas?" "It's good," I said, surprised to hear from him. "How's school?" "Great, actually. Hey, so my car died, like completely dead. I need a new one to get to class and interviews. Mom and Dad are tapped out from everything. Could you help me out? Maybe $5,000, I'll totally pay you back." $5,000. I had saved $900. "Liam, I don't have that kind of money. I'm barely making rent." "Come on, Ava, don't be like that. You have a job. I'm still in school. I'll pay you back as soon as I start working. Family helps family, right?" I took out a credit card. I sent him $4,000, all the credit card would give me. I told myself I could pay it off slowly. He never paid me back. When I brought it up 6 months later, he said, "Oh, I thought that was a gift. You know I'm trying to get my business started." "I'll get you back eventually." Eventually never came. The requests became a pattern over the next 5 years. My mother's property taxes were overdue. Could I help with $3,000? My father's business faced a cash flow crisis, just a short-term loan of $5,000 they promised to repay in 60 days. Liam needed his apartment deposit, then his business registration fees, then my mother had a dental emergency. Each time the story was different, but the ending was the same. My bank account lighter, their promises empty. $1,500 here, $2,500 there. I stopped counting after 15,000, but the requests never stopped coming. But I learned how to survive. I built my freelance business, slowly taking on clients at night and on weekends. I taught myself advanced design software. I networked relentlessly. After 2 years at the firm, I was making 45,000. After 4 years, I was making 60. I paid off the credit card. I started saving again, and I stopped telling my family how much I made. When my mother asked how work was going, I said, fine, slow but steady. When my father asked if I was doing okay financially, I said, making ends meet. I learned to gray rock to give them nothing to grab onto. I also learned to document everything. Every time they asked for money, I made them text or email the request. I kept spreadsheets. I had proof of every transaction, every promise to pay me back, every loan that became a gift the moment the money left my account. By the time I was 27, I had saved enough for a down payment on a small one-bedroom apartment. It was in a decent neighborhood, nothing fancy, but it had hardwood floors and big windows and a kitchen where I could actually cook a real meal. The building was old but well-maintained. The neighbors were quiet. There was a coffee shop on the corner. I put down 15%. My mortgage payment was only slightly more than my rent had been. When I signed the closing documents, my hands shook so badly I could barely hold the pen. This was mine. Actually, legally, completely mine. I didn't tell my family for 2 months. When I finally did, I downplayed it. Yeah, I found a little place. It was a good deal. My mother wanted to visit immediately. I put her off for a month, then another month. Finally, she just showed up one Saturday with my father and Liam in tow. I had spent the whole morning cleaning, arranging, trying to make everything perfect. Maybe if they saw what I had built, they would be proud. Maybe this time would be different. My mother walked through the apartment slowly, her heels clicking on my beautiful hardwood floors. She opened my kitchen cabinets without asking. She inspected my bathroom. She stood in the middle of my living room, my sanctuary, and said, "It's smaller than I expected. And this neighborhood is a bit rough, isn't it? I saw homeless people on the corner." That was a man walking his dog. My father barely looked up from his phone. When I tried to show him the built-in bookshelves I had found at an estate sale and restored myself, he said, "Nice," and went back to scrolling. Liam complained that there was no visitor parking. He stayed for 15 minutes, then said he had to go meet some friends. After they left, I sat on my couch and cried. But then I got angry. Why did I care what they thought? This was my home, my accomplishment, my dream realized. Their opinions didn't change the fact that I had done this myself without their help, despite their constant financial drain. I built my life around that apartment. I met clients there, turning my second bedroom into a small office. I designed mood boards at my kitchen table. I watched the sunset from my small balcony, planning future projects. I paid every mortgage payment on time, even during slow months when I had to choose between groceries and anything else. I always chose the mortgage. I also started saying no. When Liam called 18 months after I bought the apartment and asked for $10,000 to help start his tech company, I said, "I can't help you with that." "What do you mean you can't?" "You own a place now. You must be doing well." "I have a mortgage, Liam. I have bills. I'm saving for my own future." "God, you've really changed. You used to care about family." He hung up on me. My mother called 30 minutes later. "What's this I hear about you refusing to help your brother after everything we've done for you? What have you done for me?" The words came out before I could stop them. Silence. Then, "How dare you? We raised you. We gave you a home. We sacrificed for you. You took $20,000 from me that you never paid back. You've borrowed over $40,000 from me in the last 5 years. I have records, Mom. I have every text, every email, every promise you've made. That's different. That's family helping family. That's what we do." "No," I said, my voice shaking. "That's me being your ATM. And I'm done." She didn't speak to me for 3 months. No calls. No texts. Not even on my birthday. My father finally called me in month 3. "Your mother is very hurt, Ava. You know how she is. Maybe you could apologize." Apologize for what? For not giving Liam money I don't have? Just smooth things over. Keep the peace. That's what you're good at. No, Dad. I'm done keeping the peace at the expense of my own financial security. He sighed. You're being stubborn. This isn't like you. He was right. It wasn't like the old me. The old me would have already apologized, already offered some compromise, already found a way to fold myself smaller to make room for their demands. But the new me, the me who owned her own home, the me who had spent years building a life they had never supported, that me was done. They eventually started speaking to me again, but things were different. Conversations were short. Holidays became awkward. There was always a tension simmering underneath a resentment that I had dared to establish boundaries. For 2 years, there was an uneasy peace. I built my design business. I paid down my mortgage. I even started dating someone, a software engineer named Marcus, who thought my studio apartment was charming and my story of buying it alone was impressive. We broke up after a year for unrelated reasons, but those months reminded me what it felt like to be with someone who valued my accomplishments instead of seeing them as resources to extract. Then 6 weeks ago, my father turned 70. My mother insisted on having a big family dinner. Just family, she said. You, Liam, Aunt Carol, Uncle James. Small and intimate. Nah, I should have known better. I arrived at my childhood home at 6 p.m. sharp. The house looked exactly the same as it always had. Beige exterior manicured lawn, the same wreath on the door that had been there for a decade. Walking in felt like stepping back in time, and not in a good way. Aunt Carol, my father's younger sister, gave me a huge hug as soon as I walked in. There's my favorite niece. You look wonderful, honey. She was the only one in my father's family who had ever treated me like I mattered. When I was a kid, she used to take me to art museums while everyone else went to Liam's sports games. She was the one who had encouraged me to pursue design. She had sent me a card and a $100 gift card to a home store when I bought my apartment. Uncle James, her husband, was quiet and kind. He shook my hand and asked about my business. Their kids were grown and lived out of state, so it was just the 6 of us. Dinner started normally. My mother had cooked all of my father's favorites. We made small talk about the weather, about Aunt Carol's recent cruise, about Liam's latest venture. He had been through 3 business opportunities since I had refused to invest in the first one. Each one had failed within months. This one is different, Liam was saying as my mother served dessert. This is tech, real tech. AI-powered interior design assistants. I'm partnering with a developer. We have a prototype. We just need capital for the next phase. I felt every muscle in my body tense. I knew what was coming. That sounds exciting, Aunt Carol said politely. Have you looked into small business loans or angel investors? We've tried, Liam said. Banks want collateral. Angel investors want too much equity. What we really need is a family investment, someone who believes in us. The table fell silent. Everyone was suddenly very interested in their pie. How much are you looking for? Uncle James asked. 50,000, Liam said. We could make it work with less, but 50 would get us to market. My mother set down her fork with a delicate clink. We've been thinking about this a lot. Robert and I would love to help, but our savings are tied up. The business has been slow. We just don't have liquid assets right now. She turned to look at me. The whole table turned to look at me. Ava, honey, my mother said, her voice sweet as poison. You've done so well for yourself. You have equity in your apartment now. You've been so successful with your design business. We were thinking you could help your brother. Take out a home equity loan. When Liam's company succeeds, he'll pay you back with interest. It's a win-win. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. The room seemed to tilt. You want me to take out a loan against my home to fund Liam's business? It's not just his business, my father chimed in, finally looking up from his plate. It's a family investment. We all benefit when one of us succeeds. When have I ever benefited from your success? I asked quietly. Ava, don't be dramatic, my mother said. We raised you. Everything we've ever done has benefited you. Aunt Carol cleared her throat. Eleanor, maybe this isn't the best time. No, Carol, this is exactly the right time. Ava has always been so independent, so focused on herself. Maybe it's time she remembered where she came from. I looked around the table. My father wouldn't meet my eyes. Liam was staring at his plate, his jaw clenched. Uncle James looked deeply uncomfortable. Only Aunt Carol was looking at me with something like sympathy. "I'm not taking out a loan against my home," I said firmly. "After everything we've done for you," my mother hissed. "After we supported you through college." "You didn't support me through college. I paid for it myself with scholarships, work study, and loans I'm still paying off. We gave you a roof over your head for 18 years. That's called being a parent. That's the minimum requirement." My mother's face went red. My father held up his hand. "Ava, let's all just calm down. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. Your mother just thought since you have the means and Liam is family." "I gave you $20,000 6 years ago that you never paid back," I interrupted. "I've loaned this family over $40,000 total. Not one penny has been repaid. And now you want me to risk my home? That wasn't a loan," my mother snapped. "That was you helping your family in a time of need. You said you'd pay me back. You all said you'd pay me back." "We would have if we could. Life happens, Ava. Unexpected expenses. You of all people should understand that." "I do understand. That's exactly why I'm not risking my home." I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. Aunt Carol stood up too. "I think we should go," she said quietly. "Carol, sit down," my mother commanded. "This is between us and Ava." "No, Eleanor. This isn't right and you know it." The room erupted. My mother started yelling about betrayal and selfishness. My father tried to play peacemaker. Uncle James was trying to quietly usher Aunt Carol and me toward the door. Liam just sat there silent, his face flushed with shame or anger or both. I left without saying goodbye. Aunt Carol walked me to my car. "Don't let them bully you," she said, gripping my hands. "That apartment is yours. You worked for it. They have no right to it." "Why are they like this?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Because they've convinced themselves that everything they do is justified. Because they've never had to face real consequences. Because you've always given in before." She pulled me into a hug. "I'm proud of you, honey. Don't forget that." I drove home with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. When I got back to my apartment, I double-checked all my locks and sat on my couch in the dark for a long time, my mind racing. They had asked me to risk my home. My home. The one thing I had ever truly owned, the one thing I had built entirely on my own. And they had asked me to gamble it on Liam's fourth failed business venture. The audacity of it took my breath away. But underneath the shock was something else, a cold, creeping sense of dread. Because I knew my family. They didn't give up when they wanted something. They didn't take no for an answer. They found ways to wear you down to make you feel guilty, to convince you that you were the problem. I pulled out my laptop and started documenting everything. I wrote down exactly what had been said at dinner. I pulled up my records of every loan they had never repaid. I checked my credit report to make sure everything was clean. I changed all my passwords. I enabled two-factor authentication on every account. I felt paranoid, but I also felt prepared. For a week, I heard nothing. No calls, no texts. I almost started to relax. Then came that Saturday morning. The pounding, the yelling, the yellow folder, and the email about the HELOC I never applied for. I sat on my living room floor after I slammed the door on them, my phone still recording their screaming in the hallway. My hands were shaking, but my mind was crystal clear. They had actually done it. They had actually tried to fraudulently take out a loan against my home. This wasn't family dysfunction anymore. This was a crime. I called the bank's fraud hotline immediately. The woman who answered was professional and kind. "Ms. Sterling, can you confirm your social security number and date of birth for me?" I rattled them off, my voice surprisingly steady. "Thank you. Now, can you tell me about the HELOC application you're calling about?" "I didn't apply for it. Someone used my information without my permission." There was typing on the other end. "I see. The application was submitted online 3 days ago. There was a phone inquiry about it yesterday. The contact number on the application is not the number you're calling from now." "That's my mother's number," I said, more typing. A long pause. Ms. Sterling, I'm going to transfer you to our fraud prevention department. Please stay on the line. The fraud prevention specialist was all business. She asked detailed questions. She took notes. She told me they were immediately freezing the application and flagging the account. We're going to contact the applicant at the phone number on file and inform them that this has been flagged as potential identity theft. Is there anything else we can do for you? I need a note on my account. If anyone tries to access information about my mortgage or apply for anything in my name, I need you to require in-person verification with 2 forms of ID. Done. We'll also flag your account for potential harassment. If we receive any unusual inquiries, we'll notify you immediately. After I hung up, I sat very still for a long time. Then I started taking screenshots, the email notification, my credit report showing the hard inquiry, the bank's confirmation number for the fraud report, everything. I created a folder on my computer evidence. I created a backup on my cloud drive. I created another backup on an external hard drive. Then I waited. An hour later, my phone rang. My mother. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Ava, we need to talk. There's been a misunderstanding with the bank. Call me back immediately. I saved the voicemail. She called 3 more times. I didn't answer. Finally, she texted, "Stop being childish. Answer your phone. We can fix this if you just cooperate." I screenshot the text. Liam called next. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail too. Hey, Ava. Look, I don't know what's going on with Mom and the bank thing, but can you just sign the papers? It's not a big deal. I'll pay you back, I promise. This business is going to be huge. You'll thank me later. I saved that voicemail too. The pounding on my door started again around 2 p.m. This time it was just my mother. I watched her through the peephole. She was alone, wearing a different outfit. She had clearly gone home to change and strategize. She knocked politely this time. No screaming, no threats. Ava, honey, please, I know you're upset. Let's talk about this like adults. I didn't open the door. Ava, the appraisal is scheduled for Monday morning. I just need you to sign a few papers. It's for Liam's future. You want your brother to succeed, don't you? I opened the door a crack, keeping the chain engaged. My phone was recording again. There is no appraisal, I said calmly. The bank canceled it. They've flagged your phone number for fraud. Her mask slipped for just a second. I saw the calculation in her eyes, the quick mental adjustment. Then the mask was back. That's ridiculous. There must be some mistake. If you just sign, you used my social security number without my permission. You applied for a loan in my name. That's identity theft. That's a federal crime. Don't be dramatic. This is a family matter. You're overreacting. Leave my property. Don't come back. Her face twisted with rage. You selfish little bitch. After everything I've sacrificed for you, after I gave birth to you, raised you, fed you, this is how you repay me. You've repaid yourself plenty over the years. We're done here. I closed the door. She started screaming in the hallway. I heard doors opening, neighbors coming out to see what the commotion was. Mrs. Delgado from next door knocked on my door 20 minutes later after my mother had finally left. Mija, are you okay? That woman was making such a scene. Should I call the police? I'm okay, Mrs. Delgado, thank you. It's just a family issue. She patted my hand. Family is supposed to lift you up, not tear you down. You remember that. That night, I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Every notification on my phone sent my heart racing. But nothing happened. No more calls. No more visits. Sunday morning, I woke up to find my business's Google page flooded with 1-star reviews. They had appeared overnight, all posted within an hour of each other. Terrible designer. Rude and unprofessional. Would give 0 stars if I could. Way overpriced. Did shoddy work. Had to hire someone else to fix her mistakes. Unprofessional and unreliable. Missed deadlines. Poor communication. I recognized the writing style immediately. My mother's dramatic flair. Liam's tech bro terminology. I screenshot every single one. I noted the timestamps. I started the process of reporting them to Google as fake reviews, knowing it would take time for them to be removed if they ever were. Then I checked Facebook. Liam had posted a long, rambling status. When family betrays you, it cuts deeper than any knife. My sister, who I've always looked up to, who I thought I could count on, has turned her back on me when I needed her most. I guess success changes people. I guess money matters more than blood. I'm heartbroken, but I'll survive. I always do. To everyone else out there, remember, you can't trust anyone, not even family. The post had 37 likes and 22 comments, all sympathetic. I'm so sorry, Liam. Family should always come first. Some people are just selfish. I screenshot it. I added it to my evidence folder. Then I did something I had never done before. I called a lawyer. Sterling and Associates, how may I help you? I need to speak with someone about identity theft and harassment, family related. Let me connect you with one of our family law attorneys. The attorney, a woman named Jennifer Chin, listened to my whole story without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long pause. Ms. Sterling, you have grounds for a criminal complaint. Identity theft is a serious felony. The harassment is also actionable. Have you filed a police report yet? No, I wasn't sure if I should. I think you should consider it. At minimum, it creates a paper trail. If their behavior escalates, having that initial report will be crucial. Will it destroy my relationship with my family? Ms. Sterling, I'm going to be very honest with you. Your family has already destroyed that relationship. You're just now realizing it. Her words hit me like a physical blow, but she was right. What do I do? I asked. Document everything, which you're already doing. File a police report. Consider a restraining order if the harassment continues. And most importantly, don't give in. People like this, they're testing your boundaries. The moment you cave, you're teaching them that if they just push hard enough, you'll fold. I won't fold, I said. Good. Call me if anything escalates. My direct number is on the card I'm emailing you now. After we hung up, I felt simultaneously better and worse. Better because I had a plan. Worse because I was planning legal action against my own family. Monday morning brought more fake reviews. My Yelp page, my website's contact form filled with spam. Someone had even left a nasty comment on my Instagram business page. I documented all of it. I reported all of it. And then I called Aunt Carol. Ava, honey, I heard about the reviews. Eleanor called me this morning crying, saying you were ruining Liam's life. Did she mention the part where she tried to commit fraud using my identity? Aunt Carol was quiet for a moment. What? I told her everything. The HELOC application, the fraud report, the harassment, the fake reviews, all of it. Oh my God, Ava. Oh my God, that's not a family disagreement. That's a crime. I know. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I need someone in the family to know the truth. I need someone who won't take their side automatically. Send me everything, she said immediately. Every document, every screenshot, everything. I'll back you up. What Eleanor did is unforgivable. I spent the next hour emailing her my entire evidence folder. She called me back 30 minutes later. Ava, I had no idea it was this bad. I knew Eleanor could be controlling, but this is beyond anything I imagined. She thinks it's justified. She thinks she deserves it because she's my mother. That's not how family works. That's not how love works. Her words made me cry. I hadn't cried since Saturday morning, but hearing someone say out loud that this wasn't normal, wasn't acceptable, broke something open inside me. Thank you, I managed to say through my tears. Thank you for believing me. Always, honey. Always. That afternoon, I got an unexpected text from a number I didn't recognize. Hey, this is Noah. I live in 3B right above you. I heard what happened Saturday morning. My doorbell camera caught some of the audio from the hallway. I also have audio from Sunday when your mom came back. If you need the files, they're yours. Nobody should have to deal with that. I could have kissed him. Noah and I had exchanged maybe 10 words in the 2 years we'd both lived in the building, but here he was offering to help. Thank you so much. Can you save those files somewhere safe? I might need them. Already backed up in 3 places. I'm in IT. I take data security seriously. You're a lifesaver. Just being a decent human. Let me know if you need anything else. I work from home, so if anyone comes around causing problems, I'll hear it. I had allies. I had evidence. I had documentation. I had a lawyer's number. For the first time since Saturday morning, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I could win this. Tuesday brought the first real consequence. A client I had been working with for 3 months, a big renovation project that would have paid $15,000, sent me a termination email. Dear Ava, due to some concerns about your professionalism based on recent reviews, we've decided to go in a different direction. Best of luck in your future endeavors. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at that email for a long time. $15,000 gone. 6 months of mortgage payments gone. Because my mother couldn't handle being told no. The old Ava would have crumbled. The old Ava would have called her mother, apologized, done whatever it took to make the pain stop. The new Ava got angry. The new Ava opened her laptop and wrote a professional, honest email to 3 other potential clients who were considering hiring her. Dear name, I want to be transparent with you about something before we move forward. I'm currently dealing with a personal family situation that has resulted in some false negative reviews on my business pages. I have documentation that these reviews are fraudulent, and I'm in the process of having them removed. I understand if this makes you reconsider working with me. However, I wanted to be upfront about it rather than have you discover it later. My actual client work and references speak for themselves, and I'm happy to provide additional references if needed. 2 of the 3 wrote back within hours. One thanked me for my honesty and said she still wanted to move forward. The other said she appreciated my transparency and wanted to think about it. The third never responded. I lost that client, but I kept my integrity. Wednesday, my father called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Ava. His voice was tired. We need to talk. About what? About this situation. About finding a solution. There's no situation to solve, Dad. Mom committed a crime. I reported it. End of story. Don't be stubborn. This is family. We can work this out if you just come to the house. Sunday at 2, we'll all sit down and talk. So you can gang up on me again? So we can fix this. Come on, kid. You're a Sterling. We work things out. I should have said no, but a small part of me, the part that was still that little girl desperate for her father's approval, said yes. Fine. Sunday at 2. That's my girl. I felt sick as soon as I hung up. I spent the next 3 days preparing. I went to an office supply store and printed everything, every document, every screenshot, every email, every text, 8 years of mortgage statements, my credit report with the fraudulent inquiry highlighted, the HELOC application with my mother's phone number circled, Liam's Facebook post, every fake review with timestamps and IP addresses that my IT friend had helped me trace. I organized it all into 3 identical presentations, each one professionally bound and tabbed. I made a table of contents. I added a cover page, evidence the Sterling case. I weighed them on my kitchen scale. Each one was 2 pounds 4 ounces. 2 pounds 4 ounces of truth. I also called Jennifer Chin, my lawyer. I'm meeting with them Sunday. Should I? Do you feel safe? Physically, yes. Emotionally, no. Then go. But go prepared. And Ava, don't sign anything. I don't care what they say, what they promise. Do not sign anything without having me review it first. I won't. And if you feel uncomfortable at any point, leave. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them anything. Saturday night, I barely slept. I kept rehearsing what I would say, how I would react, what I would do if they tried to manipulate me again. I practiced in the mirror, practicing, keeping my voice steady, practicing not crying. Sunday morning, I dressed carefully. Not too casual, not too formal. Black pants, a gray sweater, low heels. Armor disguised as business casual. I drove to my childhood home, the 3 folders on my passenger seat. My hands were steady on the wheel. My heart was racing, but my mind was clear. The house looked exactly the same. Nothing ever changed here. That was part of the problem. My family was stuck in a pattern, and I was the only one trying to break free. I rang the doorbell at exactly 2 p.m. My mother answered. You're late, she said, even though I was precisely on time. No, I'm not. She pursed her lips and stepped aside. I walked in carrying my folders like a shield. They were all there, sitting around the dining room table like a tribunal. My father at the head, my mother to his right, Liam across from her. There was an empty chair at the foot of the table clearly meant for me. The accused facing the jury. I sat down and placed the folders in front of me. "Ava," my father began using his boardroom voice. "We're glad you came. We need to settle this situation. Your mother made a mistake." "She committed identity theft," I interrupted. "Made a mistake in how she went about helping Liam. But this has gotten out of hand. The reviews, the bank drama, all of it. We need to put this behind us." "By doing what?" I asked. "By you signing these papers." My mother slid a stack of documents across the table. "This is a quit-claim deed. You transfer ownership of the apartment to us, and we'll use it as collateral for Liam's business. When the business succeeds, we'll transfer it back to you." I stared at the papers. I couldn't believe it. They actually wanted me to give them my home. "You're insane," I said. "Don't speak to your mother that way," my father snapped. "She tried to steal from me, and now she wants me to hand over my home willingly. What part of that is sane?" "We're trying to find a compromise," my mother said. "We're trying to be reasonable." Reasonable would be apologizing. Reasonable would be accepting no for an answer. This is extortion. Liam finally spoke up. "Just sign the papers, Ava. Stop being so dramatic. It's not like you'll lose the apartment. We're family." Something inside me snapped. I opened all 3 folders. I placed one in front of each of them. Then I sat back and waited. My mother opened hers first. I watched her face go from confident to confused to pale as she flipped through the pages. The HELOC email, her phone number, the fraud report. "You can't," she whispered. "You wouldn't dare." "Keep reading," I said. Liam opened his folder next. His face went red, then white, as he saw his Facebook post printed out, followed by every fake review, complete with timestamps showing they were all posted from my parents' IP address. I didn't," he stammered. "You did, and I have proof." My father was reading his folder carefully, methodically. The original mortgage contract showing only my signature. 8 years of payment statements from my account, only some with my handwritten notes to myself. Studio fund. Future. Freedom. The records of every loan they had, never repaid. Documentation of the $20,000 I had given them that had simply disappeared. The room was silent except for the rustling of pages. Finally, my father looked up at my mother. His face was gray. "Patricia," he said, using her middle name. "You used her social security number." "Don't you dare," my mother hissed. "Don't you dare act like you didn't know. Don't you dare pretend you weren't part of this." And there it was. The mask completely off. The truth laid bare. "You said you would handle it," my father said quietly. "You said she would agree." "She should have agreed. She owes us after everything we've done for her." I stood up. All 3 of them looked at me. "You want to know what you've done for me?" I asked, my voice shaking with rage. "You gave me the bare minimum of parenting and then spent the next decade treating me like an ATM. You took my graduate school money. You took years of loans you never repaid. You tried to steal my home, and now you want me to just hand it over." "Ava," my father started. "I'm not finished. You haven't lost anything, Dad. You know why. Because you never invested anything. Every penny that went into that apartment was mine. Every sacrifice was mine. Every risk was mine. And I'll be damned if I let you take it." I pulled out one more document from my bag, a printed email from my lawyer. "This is a cease and desist letter. If any of you contact me, come to my home post about me online, or continue with the fake reviews, I will file a police report for identity theft, fraud, and harassment. Aunt Carol has copies of these folders. Noah, my neighbor, has video and audio of you harassing me. The bank has flagged all of your information. You're done." My mother stood up so fast, her chair fell over. "You can't do this. I'm your mother." "You're a thief. There's a difference. If you do this, we're done. You'll never be part of this family again." I looked at her, really looked at her, maybe for the first time in my life with clear eyes. "Good," I said simply. Liam was crying. My father looked like he'd aged 10 years. My mother was shaking with rage. I picked up my bag and walked to the door. With my hand on the knob, I turned back one last time. The apartment stays in my name. The reviews stop, the contact stops, or I go to the police. Your choice. Nay, I walked out, leaving the 3 folders on the table like evidence at a crime scene. My hands didn't shake as I drove away. My eyes didn't water. I felt empty, but also lighter, like I had put down something heavy I had been carrying my whole life. The next few weeks were hard. My mother didn't stop immediately. She called twice more. She sent emails. She even got some flying monkeys from the church to call me, telling me I should forgive my family, honor my mother and father. I blocked her number. I blocked the flying monkeys. I reported every fake review that appeared. I moved forward with my fraud report. I filed for a restraining order when she showed up at my apartment one more time. The restraining order hearing was surreal. My mother showed up in her church best, playing the victim. The judge read through my documentation carefully. She looked at the evidence of the HELOC fraud. She watched Noah's videos. She read the fake reviews. Ms. Sterling, the judge said to my mother, what you did constitutes identity theft under federal law. You're fortunate your daughter is only seeking a restraining order and not pressing criminal charges. The order is granted. You are not to contact Ms. Ava Sterling or come within 200 feet of her residence or place of business for 1 year. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. My mother's face crumpled. My father, sitting in the back of the courtroom, looked devastated. Liam didn't even show up. Outside the courthouse, Aunt Carol was waiting for me. I'm so proud of you, she said, hugging me tight. I feel like a terrible person. You're not. You're protecting yourself. That's what you should do. The family will never forgive me. Then they weren't much of a family to begin with. Life slowly returned to normal. Some clients had left because of the reviews, but others stayed. New clients came, people who had heard my story and respected how I had handled it. My business didn't collapse. It actually got stronger. 3 months after the restraining order, I applied to the Austin Young Entrepreneurs Program on a whim. I wrote about my journey about building a business despite obstacles, about learning to set boundaries. I didn't expect to get in. I got in. And then they invited me to speak on a panel at South by Southwest. The day of my SXSW panel, I was terrified. I wore a navy suit that made me feel powerful. I did my makeup carefully. I practiced my talking points. The panel was about resilience in small business. I told a sanitized version of my story. I talked about protecting your assets, knowing your worth, setting boundaries. The audience was engaged. People asked questions. Afterwards, 3 potential clients approached me with business cards. As I was talking to them, I saw movement in my peripheral vision. My parents standing near the exit. They looked smaller somehow, older, lost. After the potential clients left, my parents approached hesitantly. Ava, my father said, you did really well up there. Thanks. Awkward silence. Can we talk? My mother asked quietly. Just for a minute. I looked at them, really looked at them. They looked tired, defeated. My mother's eyes were red like she'd been crying. What do you want to say? I asked. We want to apologize, my father said. We want to start over. Maybe find a way to fix things, my mother added. I felt a flicker of the old Ava, the one who would have said yes immediately, who would have fallen all over herself to accept their apology, to smooth things over, to go back to the way things were. But I wasn't that Ava anymore. Maybe, I said carefully. When starting over doesn't mean you get to control me. When starting over means you respect my boundaries. When starting over means you see me as an equal adult, not as a resource. Of course, my father said quickly. We just want our daughter back, my mother said. I wanted to believe them. Part of me did. But the bigger part, the part that had grown strong over these months, knew better. I need time, I said. And I need proof. Not words. Actions. Show me you've changed. Show me you respect me. Then maybe we can talk about starting over. How long? My mother asked. As long as it takes. I walked away from them, back to my colleagues who were waiting to take me to a celebratory dinner, leaving my parents standing alone in the conference hall. That night, I stood on my apartment balcony looking out at the Austin skyline. The city lights sparkled like possibilities. My apartment, my home, was quiet and peaceful behind me. I had fought for this. I had bled for this. And I had won. Not just the apartment, my self-respect, my boundaries, my life. I took a deep breath and felt something I hadn't felt in years, maybe ever. Freedom. Real, genuine, uncompromising freedom. Not freedom from responsibility, not freedom from work or challenges, but freedom from the toxic weight of other people's expectations and entitlement. Freedom from sacrificing myself on the altar of family obligation. Freedom to be my own person, making my own choices, building my own life. The mortgage still had 12 years left on it. My business was still growing, still facing challenges. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. All mine. And nobody could take that away from me. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping yourself? Have you ever had to walk away from people you loved because staying meant losing yourself? If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about finding strength in impossible situations. Leave a comment telling me about a time you had to set boundaries with family or about when you finally chose yourself. Your story matters. Your boundaries matter. You matter. And remember, sometimes the best inheritance you can give yourself is the refusal to carry toxic legacies forward. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is love yourself enough to say no.